I'm just nervous about where we're going to place to stand and sit, and it's going to get quite tight. Karan, it's a real pleasure to have you. We've done the Adda once before.
Yes.
I think it was almost 7 years ago now. And I want to start by asking you exactly what we asked you 7 years ago, which is, how much has love changed between K3G and now? When K3G happened, there was no question of the fact that, Shah Rukh, the conflict was about socio-economic class, but there was no question about the fact that, Kajol was going to, if accepted, live in that house. Here, the debate is fundamental about, will the woman live in the man's house, the man live in the woman's house? So how much has love changed?
I think the evolution of love is very evident through the repertoire of cinema, I think, that you can see in the last 2.5 decades. And love, which used to be a point of conflict. When we saw love stories in the 80s, 70s, it was always parental conflict, societal pressure. That does exist. I'm not saying it doesn't. But there's a large section of independence of choice and opinion that has now penetrated the zone of love. It's all about individuality where it comes to your emotion and it comes to your feeling. But if you express parental conflict, there will be a large section of people that it may not resonate with, because people are so, the men and women of today make their own decisions. And of course, it's very important to get the support of family, which is what this film actually says, that no matter what, even if you think you have the wheels of the relationship in your hands, somewhere the backseat driving is also your family's. And that does come and affect you. But I think you can say that love went on from dependency to independence, I think, in the last 2.5 decades. There's a lot of independence in the emotion of love today.
And there's a lot at play in it. Like, Indian society is, in a sense, changing very, very fast. Does it excite you, all this change? Does it, like all these new conflicts, that it allows you to think about these new relatable conflicts to kind of exploit as a narrative? Or do you feel a little bit concerned that, that you keep alienating someone when you find a conflict to kind of pursue?
It's very difficult to kind of please, or rather to kind of connect with the wide country, the wide spectrum of families and cultures and traditions that our country has. We have so many Indias within India, and that is the truth. There is an India that you and I grew up on. There's an India that is in another part of this country, and then an India further away from that country. So I feel like there's no way that you can actually make a film. Very rarely can you make a film that can connect to like an urban audience, as well as a tier 2 city, a tier 3 city, and beyond that. What you have to do is actually make those creative choices on your own. Is like, this is the film that I want to make, this is the story I want to tell, and I can only hope and pray that it resonates with a large audience, because eventually we are a blend of commerce and art. While we are artists, we're also in a business, and we also have to appeal, because you spend the money on a movie, you also want that money back. Yeah. Eventually, it's not just, I can't just say I'm making a film for myself, because then maybe if I really do, only I should be watching it then, So, when you're making a film, you have to keep an audience in mind.
In this sort of space of kind of, society reflecting art, art reflecting society, in that space, and in these changing kind of forms that you figure out where you want to focus and kind of talk about, will we ever see a Dharma film where the mama's boy is attractive to a college, hot, popular girl?
The mama's boy is hot. I think there are so many hot, attractive girls that love mama's boys. The problem arrives when they meet the mama. Up to that point, they might, even because mama's boys are sheltered and protected, and therefore they also know very well, about how to treat their partner. I think the problem arises when the mama arrives. Up to that point, I don't think there's a problem in the attraction levels. That is not the problem. The problem is when eventually things move, and the mama has to eventually realize that that relationship is very different from the one she has with her son. The problem is when that baggage comes onto the relationship.
I guess why I'm asking this is because when I saw the movie, and you were kind enough to invite me to see it before it released, and I watching it obviously in a room full of your fans. But the one thing that I kind of, I really, I think you're a master with developing character. I think every character you developed was awesome, relatable, you know. But the one thing that I felt was the mother-son relationship.
Yeah.
Somewhere I felt that it wasn't kind of, I didn't see you authentically in it.
No, that's because you're absolutely right, and that was where I think the edit of the film, came in the way, which is a very long film. It's 2 hours and 48 minutes, and there were many scenes of Ranveer and his mother in the film that had to get cut out. There were certain sacrifices made so that for the larger conflicts of the film, or the other resolves of the other characters. So that relationship actually was sliced on the editing table. And I am a mama's boy, so I mean, I get that.
I'm also asking because I feel I'm one too.
Yes,
so I'm
yes.
asking like,
No, I mean, let's just face it, 90% of Indian men are mama's boys. I mean, I mean, it's like, and the ones who are, the other 10% are in denial, So we are all somewhere mama's boys, and and they have a huge influence in all our decisions, our lives, and our general being. That relationship, unfortunately, you're right in pointing out that it had to unfortunately get sacrificed. It never came through because we cut it all out.
Now I was just going to say that can I get into the two mama's boys and ask a question? I wanted to know, how did you feel when this film landed? Because you're still taking that deep breath. Do you believe that you've pulled off a film that so many people are loving? I mean, for lack of a better word, all I'm hearing is how much they love the film. Do you still believe it, or is there some kind of a...
So, the truth is that I'm a bit overwhelmed. It's not that I was not hoping for this, but I think the environment in our industry was kind of turbulent at the time, and I haven't released a film that I've directed in 7 years. Plus, the last 3 years were not easy on me or the industry. It's like there was a lot of negativity, and there was a lot of virtual negativity. And all that negativity had, kind of built like a ball of anxiety within me, which I actually hadn't addressed. I had brushed a lot under the carpet because I wanted to appear resilient to not only my family, but also to my company. It all just came out at the week of the film's release, where the anxiety and the panic attacks and the fact that there was no sleep and there was just sheer nervousness. Like I was sharing with you when we were upstairs, a friend of mine hugged me at one of the screenings and said, "You're trembling," and I was. And it's like right now, I'm just still, when people talk to me about the film, I still have a bit of that in me. It's going to take a while before this film leaves my system, because I hadn't realized how stressful it was for me. It's almost like I felt, even though I think failure is very critical, as critical as success is in anyone's journey, and I've seen that up close and personal, but this particular time I felt, for my own morale, I couldn't afford to fail. And I had set that bar for myself, which is wrong. It's not something I think anyone should. But I just felt like there was so much negativity that was surrounding me, and so much of it was unjustified, and so much of it was just inauthentic. It had taken a beating, not only to me personally, but to my mom and my family and my loved ones. And there was a lot that was, and what people don't realize is that they say things on television, they say things on Twitter, social media loosely, they make judgments about you, but they don't realize that there's actually an impact it can have on the receiving end, on their mental health. And I felt like I had an internal battle, and this film was eventually had reached a stage where it had to be like a make or break situation for me in my own head. While I'm not saying anybody else had set that bar for me, I just set it for myself.
So basically a sense of deep validation?
Yes, it's what I really, really, really desired. I felt like I needed a pat on my back, and I needed someone to tell me 25 years later, you're still all right.
But was it just the fact that you were directing a movie, or was it the fact that it was this movie? Because I don't know, and I'm not the film person, Shubhra is, But I don't have many director friends, but you know, when I was watching the movie, I felt like I was having a conversation with you. I felt like it was so much of you, your personality, your struggles, your successes, everything was kind of in that movie. Like that song Dola Re Dola, when we saw it, I don't know, I just felt like this is some expression of Karan's corner of his heart.
It is, and I have to be honest and say that, you know, when I was a child, I was raised by very progressive parents. When I say progressive at that point, it means something else, because I think my father was largely unaware of things. He was a very simple Punjabi man with very strong middle class values. And my mother was very different from him, much like the Bengali family in the film. My father was simple, my mother was this convent educated who spoke in English words I didn't understand. But they gave me the freedom to be the way I was. I was a very effeminate child, very different from the other boys in my class or my neighborhood. Everyone else grew up on pop culture of Western music, Madonna and George Michael and Michael Jackson at the time in the late 70s and early 80s. I grew up on Lata Mangeshkar, on Asha Bhosle, Mohammad Rafi, Kishore Kumar. I sang those songs loudly in a tone-deaf voice. I danced to those songs in my room. And my father would think it was great. And he would actually ask me to dance in front of his friends because he thought I was expressing myself. He didn't realize that I was actually being effeminate or being unusual or different from the other boys. The other kids in my school, though, or in my neighborhood, my building, weren't exactly that welcoming to this kind of personality. And that's where the term, in those days, there was no term that was about your sexual orientation. It was like the word pansy, which is a word used very predominantly in the 80s. And it kind of got stuck in your head. And then I was overweight. So that was actually, for me, a lesser of... So I seeked refuge in food because I couldn't handle this term that was thrown at me when I went out, when I met boys and girls from other schools and inter-school competitions, inter-house competitions. It was traumatizing, you know. So I think this film is a lot of me rebelling, not just...
All these years later.
Not only my childhood, but also there's a latent anger that you build with what had happened in the last couple of years. And then you have a way of just saying like, you know what, nothing else matters but your individuality and what you stand for and what you were raised to be. And I was raised to be this kind of person by my parents, and I don't want to apologize for it to anyone. And I think the film is an expression of that.
Wonderful. But, Karan, what, you know, it was tough emotionally, mental health, you spoke about all of that. But actual commercially, did it really have an impact? Because I feel whatever Dharma produced, put out, whatever you did, your personal popularity, yeah, I can see anything that happen in Bollywood, somehow you're the target of the trolls. I don't know why that is.
There's a snake emoji that comes out. I don't know why. I have no idea. It got stuck from where, I don't know. But there's a snake that comes out like suddenly with my name. And I'm like, I don't know how then when this all happened. You know, it's
you
like,
are off Twitter, right? Now
I mean, I'm not on Twitter, but that snake emoji follows me everywhere. You are still on Instagram and, you know, and then in between, some threading started also, but like luckily, you know, that didn't have any impact. But Twitter still tracks you and follows you. I'm much less abused now because who are they going to abuse? I'm not on that platform. Yeah, but like I get what you're saying is that there was.
Was there a commercial impact? We get
so the thing is I was made to believe that there can be, because a lot of what we had put out was digital, right? So in the last 3 years, many of, barring I would say a few films that we put out theatrically, one was Jug Jug Jio, which was last year, and then of course there was now Rocky Rani. But a lot of it was digital, so actually one hadn't entirely tested the waters. It was this film that would have, this film failed, then there would have been like a million fingers pointing back at you and saying, see, there is an impact. Now you realize that it's all virtual and it means nothing, but you have to kind of be strong enough to not get affected by it. Because I mean, honestly, Anant, every time I put up an image of myself, and I do put up a large amount of images of myself posing and pouting for some reason, it's me living some vicarious dream of my childhood. You should read some of the comments, they're hilarious. I mean, they're very creative even when they're negative. They say really funny, the darnest of things I read, and I'm one of those people who's a sucker to kind of read it all. Like, I'll read every single comment, and I'm like, okay, this is like, every day you have a wake-up call, either from your mother or from Instagram, and then you go on with your day. It's the way it is.
But your personal popularity never got. I mean, of course they're trolling, but like, I know that every Punjabi wedding they still want you to come to the wedding. I mean, they'll pay like anything to get you to come and kind of do the sangeet and just like.
I mean,
kind of demand.
Yeah. I mean, that's the fun part. Like. At one point, I realized that I was just having fun with everything I was doing. So I didn't want to take myself seriously. At one point, I was told before I started Coffee with Karan that you have to build mystery around yourself. You're a filmmaker. You must appear and I don't know how to make that appearance. I don't know how to do that acting of being a filmmaker. I don't know, because I really love facing the camera. Like, I love walking that red carpet. I'm unapologetically and unabashedly in love with the spotlight. I have no problem. I have no problem admitting it. I have no problem saying it. I have no problem living it. I don't want to lie. When I'm asked to do an advertisement, I get very happy. When I'm asked to walk the red carpet, I get very happy. When I have to wear a tuxedo and read an international film festival, I get very happy. So I have no problem being invited to a Punjabi wedding or being paid for something, because I feel like, wow. I mean, like, I'm 51 years old and somebody still wants me to dance on their daughter's wedding. I'm okay with that.
So can I, okay, there are weddings and there are, Punjabi songs and everything, but I want to ask you something about this year and how we are actually speaking to you on a very special weekend, because it's Hindi cinema suddenly seems to have got resurrected, if I may use that word, because till last year everybody was writing it off and saying, oh, nahi aata, Bollywood ko kuch nahi aata, here they are, look at the South films. And I always believe that it's a cyclical thing, and here we are. Gadar is making money, your film has made so much money, Pathan has made so much money, and now Jawan's coming 2 weeks from now. So what are we now? Are we in one of those cycles where Hindi cinema is suddenly finding its groove again? Or because it feels like the 90s all over again. There's Shah Rukh, there's you, there's Sunny Deol, there's,
I mean, like Rajni sir with Jailer.
With Jailer,
I
yes.
mean,
It's
like, I'm suddenly like, all of us who thought that
like going back to the future.
Youth-infested market is now to realize that everybody who's like a certain age are really rocking it. Look, I never thought there was any problem with what Bollywood was doing. We have bad years in the past. We were having another 1 or 2 bad years. It doesn't mean like boycott Bollywood, they are dead, the South is taken over. The South is great. What they're doing is amazing. I was one of the first earlier people who went with all reverence in my heart to Rajamouli sir and wanted to present Bahubali. I'm obsessed with Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam and Kannada. We have to know that there are 4 different kinds of cinema, have catered to different audiences and done it in their own way with super conviction. So I have a lot of respect for them. But I also have a lot of respect for the storytellers that we have in our cinema. And it's no surprise that this is happening. Of course, Gaddar has blown everyone's brains away because it was a film that was hugely successful in 2001, and now 2023 it's breaking every record. The single screens, which I'm so glad for, have been like literally, there is joyousness and celebration in that. And I think more power to just conviction, because if you see, all these movies that have done well are riding on one very strong quality, and that is core conviction. They're not looking at validation from anybody else, social media, critical acclaim, anything. Everyone's making personable films that appeal to their sensibility. And I think that's what is going to happen. More of that in the future, and we'll be riding this wave every year.
Have you seen OMG 2?
No, I've seen Gaddar. I haven't seen OMG 2.
Okay, because I was going to ask you if you had seen that film, because it's completely blew me away and it's very hard to do that.
Yes, I know. I've read your review, Shubhra.
Okay.
Yours was the only one that grounded me when I was flying a little bit. I was like, okay, there's one person who didn't like it. I'm glad.
No, I didn't not like it. I didn't. Okay, if you want to ask me, I thought there was too much dialoguing.
Yeah.
I wanted to hear
but
the
I have
helicopter.
to tell you, Shubhra,
I have to hear the helicopter and Jaya Bachchan and the thali, and I want to just get that cinema. I so much.
But I love reading your reviews because I do believe that you come from a very honest place. And I've never had a problem with reviewers who have liked or disliked my movies, because I believe that why should they have any other agenda but their own opinion? And for God's sake, we are full of opinions. All of us are. We just don't have professions that want. I can't even exercise my opinion on certain things because we're part of the industry. I have a lot of regard for what you write, and I know that when you really love something, you genuinely have, and that means a lot because you're cut away. I've never known you to be part of the industry in a way. So when I read your review, I read it academically for myself, and because it's important that while you read the good, you should also read what you can work on, and it all eventually adds up, for the future. So to answer your question was, oh my God.
Oh my God, because it's about a theme that I don't think Bollywood has handled before. Yes. So here we are talking about the 90s, but we're also talking about a film which is fronted by Pankaj Tripathi, yes. And Akshay plays a role which is a supporting role in a manner of speaking, but he really raises the bar by using that theme it's completely amazing for a Hindi film to be doing that thing. So I was just
and I believe like you're talking about sex education through the mainstream, and I think that's outstanding. If you can make that kind of impact through cinema, that's what we are all here for.
And your Dola Ray, which I think is one of the best subversive scene that I've seen in a long time. I think I'll just go see the movie again just for that. I think between that and...
Can you write that though? When you go see it again?
Yeah.
Even if it's just a tweet, it'll mean a lot to me.
Okay, I promise.
I'll feel like the biggest victory finally.
But, she's talking about OMG 2, which I haven't seen. But, this whole wave and the resurrection of Bollywood, like you put it, am I right in saying that it's, in a sense, very formulaic? Right? Like, I saw Pathaan, very entertaining, but in a sense, formulaic. Even there are parts of your film, which I thought, you had the rain, the sari in the rain and the making. Like in a sense, it was formulaic. So it's a formula that seems to be working on the silver screen. So and you experiment on OTT. Is that what?
So I don't think that's entirely. So the thing is that we kind of try to use this word formula because Indian cinema we can take for granted because it's our cinema, right? But the same people like you, perhaps not entirely you, like who would think that we are being formulaic, will love Mission Impossible. There's nothing more formulaic than that.
I agree with you.
They have made the same film 8 times.
Yes.
And we go there and we applaud their visuals and action. It's all fantastic, but it is formulaic and sometimes brain dead.
Right.
But the same thing when happens in Hindi cinema, we kind of, because we take it for granted, because it's our own, we don't realize that actually there's a lot of power to formula. Why is it a cliche? Because it works again and again. You just have to repackage, redesign, reinvent, and come with a lot of conviction, and you'll pull it off. Pathaan to me was a joyride because it was great to see these movie stars being movie stars and walking with abandon. Shah Rukh was owning it like he always has. He was walking with his stardom on his sleeve, as was Deepika, as was John, as was the filmmakers. And I thought that they are not pretending to make some kind of a commercial classic. They're here to entertain. Similarly, in my movie, I wanted to have that snow song. It's my ode to my growing years. I love Yash Chopra, and I love Sridevi in Chandani, and I love Rekha in Silsila, and I had to put Alia in that chiffon sari because it was my childhood dream to do that in Kashmir. I'd never shot a love song like that in Kashmir. I've been to Kashmir. I've imagined myself singing those songs in those wadis. So I'm like, I'm here. I have to do this song. That doesn't come from a space of formula. It comes from a space of just pure love for Indian cinema. That's where it came from, nowhere else.
But is the experimenting that used to happen pre-COVID maybe?
Yeah, it's still happening.
But is that for OTT? The economic dynamics.
OMG is an experiment.
It's
a massive experiment to pull off a film that has, like you said, Akshay in a strong supporting role, helming that film, talking about sex education. And if you saw the film, I know the story. It's a very brave film to make in the mainstream. In my film, you have a man doing a Kathak dance. While it's happened in the South, in the films there, Kamal Hassan is a trained Bharatnatyam dancer, but in Hindi cinema, it's considered and it's addressed in the film. When you do things, and I think it has happened, it's not just that we are saving all the risque or off the mainstream content just for OTT platforms. In fact, I feel like Indian cinema is taking very brave steps. And I think it's all going to be eventually going to not only just change the fabric of our mainstream cinema, but also empower us in so many ways.
How much has OTT changed in this last 1 year? I mean, we always kept hearing about this, enormous sort of gravy train almost for producers, for writers. Is it still the same like it used to be? I mean, how have the economics changed given OTT's place in the system?
I think it's, I believe that, initially when it came on and everybody was saying OTT content is a threat to cinema, I don't think that's true at all. Firstly, let's put that out there, that in fact one is empowering the other. I believe the writers are so empowered on streaming platforms because they are given, because it's a writer's medium. It always has been a writer's medium. The series format is a writer's medium. Those writers are empowered, and we in cinema are actually drawing from that content pool and that pool of writers, and therefore our cinema will get better because one is empowering the other. Secondly, of course, the series format is totally different from a film format. There's more characterization, there's more detailing, it's over a period, 8 episodes. It's a totally different journey than watching a film. I think it's great. What's happening is that the viewing habits, actually, it's not the content that is changing. That has been great and will become stronger. Look at the shows that we're watching, some terrific shows. I watched, in fact, whether it was Kohra on Netflix or Kalkut on Geo Cinema. These are strongly performed shows. There was The Hard before that. Yeah. And I was like, I'm just naming some of the few brilliant pieces of writing and performances that I've seen. But I feel like that's great. What has now changed, I think, is the viewer who was very comfortable for 2.5, 3 years watching content in their homes have now realized that we have to go back to cinema because the feeling of community. Because if you see Pathan, right up to Rocky Rani and Gadar, and oh my God, when they're packed halls of people laughing, clapping, joyous together, that feeling cannot be achieved at home, no matter what. So there is a change, not in the content of the OTT platforms. There's now finally and thankfully, and I'm grateful for, the change in the audience, in their way of packing cinema halls, because they know that now we have to go and watch movies if you want that community experience, which is what cinema always was. It was a community experience.
So the business is once again a great business, Bollywood? Or
it was always a great business. People were just had too much time to write all kinds of nonsense. We haven't changed. It's not that we've become new people. Cinema has changed. Cinema has evolved. We were always like this. We were wonderful then. And we are wonderful now. And we are going to be wonderful 10 years later. Okay. And there's a lot of wonderfulness in OTT platforms and content creation. It's just that people who were nameless and faceless were writing all kinds of ridiculous things. And we had all the time in the world to read those ridiculous things. Now, everyone's back to their lives and jobs, and everyone's back to the cinema halls. Let's all clap. Okay. Indian cinema is back.
So, how much I come back to the question I'm trying to get at. Okay, I'll try to, what I was trying to prompt you to say what I'm kind of learning as an industry is that, at one point, the OTT guys kind of would underwrite a film before even the shooting would start. Yeah. And to some degree, I felt that was actually creating a lot of mediocrity. Yeah. Because it's a script.
In terms of budgets, etc.
It's a script. It's a lead star. That on the basis of that script and a lead star, you've got a check of whatever 100 crore, whatever the OTT would promise you, and then whatever you do on top of that for theater would be the cherry on the top. And then you're kind of saying the paise to ban gaye, so why should I now invest more in the production?
But I want to tell you,
why should I now invest more in the?
Now we'll talk shop. That has stopped. You see, that also happened in a phase where there was less content. So the OTT platforms were obviously paying much more. They were paying top dollar to get the films on their streaming services. But right now, everyone has now woken up to content and just content. Now nobody is cutting those checks just on the face value of a film. If you bring them a big star and a substandard script, it's not going to happen. People are reading scripts. We show our films now to platforms. If you want to sell your film, you've got to show it to them. And it's no longer like I'm sitting on some high horse and I believe that somebody's just going to pick up my film. They want to see. They want to hear music. The music companies are hearing music now. The streaming services are watching your films. They all know that they will pick it up only if they think it's worthy of being picked up. Either you're licensing it to them, but they're seeing it, or at the end of the day, if it's direct to digital, they want to know. They're not walking into anything with their eyes shut. That was happening for a year or two because there was no content. And so it was all the previous kind of content that was before the pandemic that needed to kind of then be sold because there was nothing else. And those times, the streaming services were bullish because they needed all the content to pack their service with, because people were sitting at home and had nothing to do, and that's where the viewership in. But today, I have to tell you,
there's a correction.
There's a full, and this was a 2.5 year was an anomaly. It happened only because there was a global pandemic. You know, that is not something that happens all the time. Right now, it's like if your script is not of a certain stature and the project is not promising a certain kind of value to them, they're not taking it. Nobody. So that correction has happened.
Is there?
But I still feel like you would hesitate to launch, to do a silver screen launch with 2 rank newcomers today. You know, maybe, and you've done it in the past, but you would hesitate today because the OTT guys would support.
I actually would not. Okay. I have a film that
no Instagram following, no last
read
name,
it. So we have a film that has been accepted. I've been at the Toronto Film Festival, which has a new boy in it. His name is Laksh. He's and I quote unquote outsider. Has absolutely no connection to anyone in the industry. He's the face of that film. It's an action film that has cost us a lot of money. It's been shot by a Korean crew. It's been selected for Toronto, and that film is going to have a release right after that. And there's all that money riding on one new talent. So it's not that we're not doing it, you know, and we're doing several other things with other filmmakers. So I think that the whole idea of and it's not just me. I know other studios are doing it as well. I know Excel has put a lot of money with a new actor launching an action film. I know Yash Raj, as we speak, are putting out new actors and talent. So I think everyone knows and understands that we need many more actors and actresses and more talent. And the only way that can happen is if you put top dollar on them, position them, and then you can leverage that. You know, because we realize there are very few otherwise successful actors in the business. There aren't. It's not that we're flooded with options.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, while we are at this point, some kind of a pushback against the last 2.5 years, there are people coming back to the movies in droves, and it's joyous again. But also there is a certain kind of, we are now in a changed country, and there are some constraints that are in place where you are forced to make a certain kind of film. Are you, when you're thinking about a film and thinking about how you're going to shape it, are you also factoring in those constraints that are coming in from the outside, from the ecosystem that we are all living in now?
I mean, at the end of the day, you've got to make a film that you want to make and you believe in. And what you're talking about, constraints, have existed always. I mean, there were always things that, you know, you wanted to make films that were sensitive to issues that perhaps, you know, that your country is sensitive to. And as filmmakers who now have a legal department in every office will tell you that don't go down this path, go down this path. Like, so there is that check and balance happening.
Is there fear?
No, I don't think there's any fear. Creative people are not afraid. They're not afraid to tell the stories they want to. They will choose the story they want to keep the environment around at the release of the film to be, you know, not something that you sensationalize for no reason. We're sensitive. We're not afraid. We're not afraid.
Karan, so what do you think is the future of Dharma now in all of this?
Oh my God!
Because I was just while preparing for this, I didn't realize you've got like 4 different pillars. It's not just production. Your talent management. You've got a digital only division. You've got something that does only, I think, music videos and ads.
Yeah. We have Dharma Productions, which is the mothership company. We have Dharma 2.0 that produces advertising, music videos, that is helmed by Puneet Malhotra. Then we have DCA, which is a talent management company, and then we have Dharmatic, which produces content, which is of course efficiently run by Somen Mishra and Anisha Beg. We actually have it's a lot to do with content. We're also collaborating with other production houses, and we're doing a lot of work like that. When you say what is the future is to expand verticals. Like, I'd love to have my own distribution network. I'd love to perhaps have my own music label. I'd like to perhaps have my own infrastructure for visual effects. Because we're planning so much. So there is expansion, and that can only happen when you perhaps look at your company I would never go public. like we were discussing.
No, that's actually what I want to come to. Like, so are you thinking?
No.
You don't want to go public. Do you want your kids to eventually inherit this?
So
I know they're very young now.
Well, yeah, I mean, right now I'm not sure. He wants to be a mechanic and she wants to be a ballet dancer.
Yeah.
So we don't have those two verticals in our company right now. But
are you thinking about that? I mean, because
I think of them all the time. Like I know my father thought of me. But to answer your question is, my father wrote me a letter that was given to me through a family friend after he passed away. He wrote it as it was not an emotional letter, it was more a functional letter because he knew I was clueless about business. I knew nothing. He passed away in 2004 and a family friend came on the 4th day and he was the second person that came after we had a ceremony, the Chautha ceremony, and I went back to the office and I was literally staring at the walls feeling that should I just shut shop and move to maybe my best friend's company, Yash Raj Films, and I don't know how to run this company. I don't have any idea of finances. And to the extent that I remember when I had become a director in 98 and I just gone and visited an award ceremony called IFA, and you sign autographs for the first time. So I got so used to writing lots of love with my signature that when my father asked me to sign a few checks, I wrote lots of love on them. and he looked at me and he walked in and he said, they don't want your love, they want your money. Just can you write your name? So I was like, oh, I was that clueless. And then there was a gentleman that walked in and said, hello, we haven't met, I'm your chartered accountant. And I had no idea where the money was, what things were, I was just so clueless because I was such a indulged child by my father, as was my mother. He had spoilt me silly about everything, whatever I wanted, and I was suddenly on my own. And this family friend walked in with this letter, and it was like a 7-page long letter that was about that he had written with his hand. About everything, about the investments, where money was, people who owed us money, and he wrote that these are the people who owe us, but if they don't come to you, don't ask them. These are the people you should trust, these are the people you should not trust, these are the things you should do. You should never enter partnership with close friends, you should never go public. Don't be accountable to anyone but yourself. And this is one of the things that, and I remember that line he had highlighted with a red pen. And it's kind of ingrained in my head right now. And he used to always say that don't go public. And this I'm talking about 2004, where we weren't even large enough to think, but possibly he just, and he was like, always kind of be responsible on your own for your own self. So when you talk about expansion, yes, the thought about diluting stakes sometimes comes. Like, do you need a partner so that you're empowered financially? Those thoughts do come. So we've gone through the process of thinking about that. Me and Apurva, we run the company like siblings. Apurva is my CEO, Apurva Mehta. We're also childhood best friends. And so we have a very sharp, so it's almost like he took my father's place in my life. He sits in that chair. He's my boss. I'm really scared of him. Like he's been on like a trip for the last 2 weeks and I feel I've been on holiday, because he's always like monitoring everything. So he and I kind of run the company together. He takes all the financial decisions and I take the creative ones. And we don't walk into each other's zone at all. And so when he tells me this is it, then I have to listen to him like a good student would. And similarly, sometimes I tell him I feel like we should make this even though it's not lucrative. Like this film that we're making, like Guneet and I are producing, he was like, it's a new boy. You want to spend all this money? And I'm like, I believe in him. I believe that he can be a movie star. So then he goes with it. But he actually told me just on the phone the other day, and he's like, when I'm back, we need to talk about the expansion possibility. So hopefully the next time I'm on Adda, we may be a different kind of culture at Dharma, who knows?
But we're talking very sort of long way down the road, but even just right now, if I look, you have on the one hand the Bhushan Kumars, I got the name here, hold on. You got the Bhushan Kumars and the Bhagnanis, who are doing one type of cinema, right? Where it's like a product. It's like a machine. It's like it's a factory of content. And your kind of stuff that Dharma does has a lot of heart in it, always, even if it's not your film. Whatever Dharma does.
We've made some factory products also that have not fared very well.
Do you see these as being two opposing models? Do you get tempted by one of them?
I think there are a lot of producers that have to do they're not like, I have a lot of regard for people like who put money into movies because it is not entirely a risk-free profession. You don't know how that Friday will be, no matter how padded you are by digital rights, music rights, satellite rights. You still don't know what if your film is a looming large disaster on day one and then all the money is lost. So sometimes you are a creative force and sometimes you're a financial force. And the financial forces are very largely dependent on the creativity they employ. So it is all a risk. So whether the names you've mentioned are of gentlemen who actually have put a lot of like a lot of faith in other people, so it becomes even more difficult for them. With us, we still somehow sell our films, you know, no matter what. We try and pad it as much as possible, but we're also taking risks. It's a tough zone like that, you know. So I feel like whether it's Dharma or Yashraj or Excel Entertainment or Bhushan Studio T-Series, Jackie Bhagnani and several other producers that are doing a lot of work, eventually it's a risk for everyone. It's not that sometimes they'll hit it out of the park, sometimes we will. Sometimes we both give looming large disasters. It's happened. You know, you never know.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask you about risk-taking, the appetite of, you know, for people who go into this blind and sometimes you hit and sometimes it's a miss. Being a father, has being a father changed you in some ways? You know, are you now thinking of your company as something that you want to bequeath to your children? How has it changed for you? Or being an only child, you know, you...
Yeah.
I just was very curious about that.
I think there has been a subliminal change, a change that I don't know if I can articulate in ways that are definitive. Like I'm not sure I can say that, oh, now I'm doing this for my twins, and I just feel like I feel a lot. There's more of a spring in my step. I don't know if there's a lot more energy suddenly to kind of do much more and achieve. And maybe subliminally, it's because I want to leave a legacy that they can be proud of. But simultaneously, I also feel that my parents never dictated any professional decisions for me. You know, they didn't want me initially to enter the film business, but they didn't stop me either. You know, and I feel like we shouldn't put the pressure of our own lineage or legacy on. They should be able to take their individual decisions. So I don't know. Right now, I'm building the company so that I can protect their future. But I don't know if they will be part of Dharma per se as the future. Like for me, I feel if I realize at a certain age that they are not inclined to the business, then I think that one should actually leave the film studio to people who are really genuine filmmakers, who can take it ahead. If Yash and Ruhi are not interested in them, and it very well could be. Right now they're nearly 7, they're 6.5 plus. They show no inclination right now. They haven't seen my movie, they haven't seen any Hindi movie, they haven't seen anything but like animation. They don't know the culture, but who knows what can change in the next 4 years. But I know that to answer your question, what has changed is I think there's much more drive, there's much more passion, and I think that happened with their birth. It organically came into your system, you know, and that's something that I now realize when I'm working. I feel like I think this has happened because of them.
And just more on the parenting piece before we kind of get to the audience, because we have a lot of people, I'm sure a lot of questions. Do you feel the need to be protective of them from the world of Bollywood? Are you like, just embrace it, this is your world, this is your life, and this is how you got to kind of be?
I've never ever stopped the flow of things. Even in the pandemic, when everyone was paranoid, my kids have always been exposed to people. That's the culture in our family. For us, friends have been our family.
Yeah.
And so I'm not stopping anything. They go to parties. If they get papped, they get papped. They don't understand exactly why they're being photographed. But like, I don't stop it. I'm not overtly protective. I'm not covering their face. I'm not making them take a back end. I don't want to, because I think that kind of starts making you feel like you're different.
Right.
The moment you kind of open the spectrum of life up to them, this is my job, I'm proud of what I do. And yes, the paparazzi culture is part of my profession.
A lot of attention.
So if they're going to give you that attention, you might as well envelop it. And the parenting that you do at home is very critical. But what I have to say here is what I was very, very, very careful about, because I had a boy and a girl, is that I realized the things we say, the little things we say, are so wrong at many times, especially when you have twins that is a boy and a girl, how the blues and pinks start popping. You know, like when the blues come for the boy and the pinks come for the girl, and that is my big problem. I'm like, no, he can wear pink and she can wear blue, and they can both wear pink and they can both wear blue. And then you suddenly have people at home say, don't cry like a girl. Those are the things that I have to stop. Because of course he must cry, as must she. And there's no such thing. These are certain stereotypes that we actually don't realize. Unknowingly, we say them that kind of are impressionable to our children. So for me, more than protecting them from the paparazzi, I have to protect them from what happens at home. Because we say unknowingly the most insensitive, inappropriate things to our children that certainly that kind of become their fabric of thought. And I think that to me, as a parent, is far more of a challenge than dealing with the external forces.
No, very
Do
interesting.
you cry?
I cry all the time. We're a family of criers. My mum cries, I cry, my father used to cry. We cry the drop of a hat. In most emotions, our end result is tears. You know, so it's like, it's something that I'm quite used to.
But you'll accept that it is a rarefied air that you breathe, your family breathes, and there is a culture which is very different from almost everyone.
Yeah, but you have to envelop your surrounding. You can't resist it. Because the moment you resist it, the child feels unusual and awkward. And I feel like, why am I covering their faces if they're walking into an airport? Like, please, very happily smile from them, do namaste, walk inside. Give everyone the due respect they must. If that gentleman is clicking your photograph, you cannot cover a face. And I don't like to do those things. You know, I never put one big emoji on my child's face, you know, and covered them, because that according to me, it's counterproductive. Yeah. You're actually scarring the child more than they know.
Yeah. I'm asking this because about a month ago, we were here for an Adda with Gaur Gopal Das. And I was just thinking that if there is an exact opposite of a Gaur Gopal Das, sort of for an Adda, just from a pure appearance, right? I mean, he wears the same, the same clothes every day he'll wear the same shoes. You know, he came here saying, why do you buy an expensive car? Nobody notices who's in the car, they notice the car. So why you buy an expensive car?
Yeah.
I'm just, versus I'm not saying you, but Bollywood or the glamour space, you kind of, you have to be the cutting edge of fashion, or most people have to, most people are, the latest thing. I remember you were the first person who told me that I should stop tucking in my shirts. It's completely out of fashion.
I said stop tucking in your t-shirts and wearing a belt.
Yeah.
I had nothing to do with tucking in your shirt. It's fine.
Okay.
But you were tucking in a t-shirt and wearing a belt. Yeah. Now that is a bit of a no-no.
Yeah, I didn't even remember that.
Have you stopped doing that?
I didn't even remember that.
No, but have you stopped doing that?
I think I have stopped doing that. I think my wife tells me to stop doing it after he said. But no, so I'm saying that, it sounds like the spiritual space and the film space. Can these two worlds ever kind of collide? Like,
I think
can you be a spiritual?
I think
it's not fashion. It's only fashion.
I think fashion is spiritual. To me,
yeah.
I feel it's like there is so much beauty to fashion. It's $1 billion industry. Of course, look, I get what you're saying. There is all about appearance and how your appearance is and all that. But that is part of the game, right? If you are walking where you're going to be photographed and your photos will be archived for posterity, you want to, and I'm all about expression. Like, if you want to wear like a black shirt and trousers and come, you must, if that's what but if you want to dress up, that's also okay. Like, you should be allowed to do what you want. So I believe that it's very individual as a decision. And I always tell actors, when they're coming into I'm like, be yourself. If Ranveer Singh dresses in a way, he's doing it organically to what's coming naturally to him. If Ranbir Kapoor is dressing in a certain way, that's coming naturally to him. If I'm trying to be flamboyant, that's my midlife crisis. Whatever it is, it's all happening organically. Yeah. And I'm addressing my midlife crisis, and the blacks have started coming out again. And I'm like, now I have kids. Should I be wearing this fluorescent yellow jacket? I don't think so. Yeah. And then, I have friends that kind of check me on time. I'm like, this might be a bit much now, because you start realizing, Abhi, now, your kids are also looking at you, and they have that expression on their face when you're going out at night. Where there's a certain judgment, specifically in my daughter's eyes, and she looks at me like, you're really wearing that and stepping out of the house like, you have, like, I don't think you should. So once she told me I was wearing a pink jacket, and she said, you look like Peppa Pig, and I was like, that was like the death of that jacket to me. Like, I had to put it back. I said, I can't be looking like Peppa Pig at age 50. So I'm like, but what I'm trying to get at is like with Gaur Gopal Das, who I love, by the way, and I follow, and we're DM buddies. I hear so much joy when I see him, and I know what he's talking about. But we are in a profession that should allow anyone to do what they want, because they are being constantly tracked. So
let me ask you in the opposite way. Is it possible for someone to wear a white khadi shirt or a white khadi kurta pajama, or wear anything but the same thing all the time, you know, like come in a simple car, you know, drive up in a Swift for an award show. Is it possible for that person to be a successful mainstream, middle of the sort of central market actor, like successful actor?
Pankaj Tripathi. I mean, he's just given a bona fide 100 crore hit, and he's dresses exactly the way you described. Simple, efficient, and still such a rock star of an actor. It is possible, Anant, but that is a choice you have to make for yourself. Sometimes many people get swept away by the world and start altering their core DNA. Now that is their choice to make. Of course, you can be, if you are an artist and fantastic and you connect with gazillion people through your work, you can wear what the hell you want. But do you want to right now? Many people have so many people around them telling them what to do, and they're listening to those people, whether it's manager and stylist and all. That's something that I can't stop. You have an individual expression which you must actually be. Like, I really want to wear those clothes. No one's told me.
Yeah, I
you know,
understand, yeah.
I now want to wear what I want to. Like and that individual, like when you meet Pankaj, you know that he's not putting up a pretense. He is just doing what he wants to. He's not, suddenly you're not seeing him wearing like a weird ass like outfit on a red carpet. Like he's really like being himself. And that's the way it is. And I feel like it's an individual choice.
But do your stylists tell you what to wear, or do you tell them that you're going to wear this?
I mean, with me, it's a bit tricky because, I mean, like I have a preconceived kind of vision for myself already. So they, of course, contribute very largely. But with me, I mean, I told you, it's a very large midlife crisis that I'm going through. And it started at age 43. It's overstaying its welcome. I know, I can see it. I can tell I'll get out of it finally.
No more blacks.
No. Now the blacks are coming out.
Okay, we should get to the audience. Can I get a show of hands of who all have questions just so I can start pacing it out? Yeah? Okay, yes. The first question here, please. On the left side, right there. Mike, yeah.
So, Vishal Mishra this side.
Vishal teaches data at Columbia University. Right? Am I right? Data, right?
Well, computer science.
Computer science, sorry, yes.
So I have two questions.
Yeah.
One is, when did Kamal Lund's son become Tijori Randhawa?
Oh, because she decided to, so there was a bit like in the voiceover that we had to remove, that she took charge of the business, and there was a line that said, वो लुंड नाम बदनाम होने लगा, और तो इसीलिए उन्होंने अपना नाम अपना दिया. वो unfortunately we had to cut that out. So it was again, everyone's calling me out on all the errors of the film actually. You did too, and so has he. Absolutely right, sir. And there was a line that again, length had to cut out. We had that explanation. It became Randhawa only because people were looking at like the name with a funny gaze, rightfully.
The second question, so what has changed in India in the last 20 years that you could make this film today and you wanted to make this film today?
I don't know about what has changed around. I think I have changed. I don't know, and maybe my change has happened through my life experiences. Like I feel my gender politics in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai are flawed, but my gender politics in Rocky or Rani are more on point. So I think that's been my personal evolution as an individual more than what has changed in the country. I think I think possibly it's just the people I've interacted with or the observations I've made that have made my change in the syntax of my cinema.
Subir.
So this pansy, fat chef, you love food, is grateful to you for being responsible not just to yourself but to the planet. Rocky and Rani has shown the world a face of India that India has been hiding. I'm wearing a shoe with skeletons, a wrinkled jacket, to talk about the fabric that's wrinkled and the skeletons we hide in our closet. You've done that bravely. My friends and family from all over the world have been calling me that this movie has taken over by a storm across all the continents of the world. Barbie is hiding, Rani is shining. How do you rate your emotional quotient, EQ, and what do you think of karma for Dharma? Because I think you've been bashed and badgered for no reason, but you keep smiling and giving us all hope.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you. And this means a lot. It does. It touches my heart in a way that I can't possibly express entirely. There's a line that Mr. Chopra, who's my mentor in so many ways, said. The line was, Tera karam hi teri vijay hai, which is your karma is your victory. And I believe that you do what you have to in terms of what you think is good. To your relationships, to your family, to people in your life and world, and good will happen. It's a simple I'm not spiritual, I'm not religious, but I'm just, I think, a humanitarian as things go. I believe that the karma for me or dharma comes from my own doings. And I have to just watch that. Am I being good to the people in my world? Am I being good to the people I touch and the lives that interact with me on a daily basis? Then I shouldn't care about the negativity because I'm following my own path. The second question, sir, was the EQ. I think the moment you are more worried about like how you are impacting others and how what you say and what you do affects other people, your EQ is obviously at an all-time high. We are all somewhere self-absorbed. Of course, we are about ourselves and our, whether it's mentally, emotionally, and physically. But I know, as far as I can say for myself, is that I'm sensitive not just to myself but to others as well. And that personality trait, I think, gives you a high EQ. When you care about, the things that you're saying to someone, and you care not to kind of, because sometimes people don't even realize how insensitive they can be. They don't know it. Here, I come from basically that zone of parenting where I'm being trained to believe that you have to be sensitive to everyone. And what you say matters. So I think EQ is something that is now in my DNA, hopefully, and hopefully remains.
Suvir is one of the few Indian chefs whose restaurant won a Michelin star.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Rashmi Saluja, please.
Hi. In fact, in Anand's shows, we have usually seen such a lot of political discussion and some of the spiritual one. But there's no question, but I just want to compliment you. What a clear mind. Absolutely straight. Fantastic. Nice to know you, Karan.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. Thank you.
Two questions at the back, yeah. The gentleman there, then right. Is there anybody all the way at the back there who will have a question? We'd love to get you on the camera as well, please. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Karan. Great to be here.
Thank you.
After a mega success that you've had, notwithstanding some trembling during your screening personally. My question is, many of us in this room have some kind of aspirations to act in your movies. How would you like to address that kind of situation?
Sir, I want to tell you very honestly, I have a very big aspiration to act myself in my own movies. and I have been rejected time and again by my own filmmakers and by filmmakers outside. So I just want to tell you it's a tough road, sir. Like, it's like, and when I ventured into a film as an actor in a film called Bombay Velvet, and that film was an unfortunate film made by a very fortunate filmmaker, and I tell him when I meet him that my entire desire to be an actor has been completely nipped in the bud, because every time, even in my own office, I recommend myself for a role and I throw it in like, I think I could do this really well. It's met with drop dead silence, and then they change the topic and move on. So I think I've got the hint, sir, and I hope I'm giving you the hint as well.
Thank you.
I actually liked you in that film.
Yes, Shubhra.
Yes.
Can you write that as well? Because I really am looking for acting opportunities, but nobody, from 2015, it's 2023, I've not been able to face the camera as an actor in one film. I deserved one film that I could turn down. I never even got offered that film. It was just so unfortunate.
There's a question here. Yeah, please. Gentleman here.
Hi, Karan. I am Bharat Tripathi.
Hello.
The first question was by my nephew. He is a professor in Columbia.
Yes.
So while watching such a lovely movie and rocking movie, he had a time to think about this Lund and Randhawa.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed the movie. This was a movie I saw after Bahubali 2.
Oh, wow.
I normally don't go to the theaters. I went with my daughter. I bunked office. I switched off my location, switched off my phone. And I just compliment you. It was such a lovely movie. I just enjoyed every moment.
Oh, thank you, sir.
That was the compliment.
Thank you.
And I have one grudge. I love Jaya Bhadri. I just still call her Jaya Bhadri. You brought such nasty image out of... I don't know why.
Sir, it was actually to cast against type. You know, she has such a wonderful, image on screen and off screen, and she's a mother figure to me. So when I was thinking of the cast, I said I want to cast against type. Like, she's never done a role like this, and I think it would be great for her to it would be great for her to actually go ahead and do something that was against what she had done. You know, she was like Millie and Goody, and she was like, that was her personality on celluloid. So it was just to kind of like, sometimes it's nice to shake things up. It works out well.
Nandini, go ahead, please.
Do I need a mic?
Yeah, please, you need a mic for the camera. Anybody in the back there? We'll take one last, then I'll move on to the rapid fire.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Well, you invented the word, now you have to...
Yeah, but I also want the hamper.
There's no hamper, sorry.
Okay.
If we were on Star TV, then maybe the production budget would allow a hamper. So. Go ahead.
Karan,
Hi.
how are you?
How are you?
So, my question is that I thoroughly enjoyed the film as a Bengali. To make the Bengali woman as the agent of change, most welcome. Thank you. Okay. Now, my question is, Khala hobe.
Yeah.
Line that keeps coming in, Khala hobe, Khala hobe, Khala hobe.
It only comes once.
Is that the most subversive political message that went into the film?
No, it was, of course...
Are you sure?
No, it wasn't. It was, of course, a call line that was used a lot, as you know, and the dialogue writer of the film, Nishita Moitra, has very strong Bengali roots. So it was like she needed to say something to close the line, and she said, let's just say Khala hobe, and it just fell into place. There wasn't any other messaging that was going through that. It was just meaning game on, literally.
Mike.
Karan. Look, it's great to have...
Hi, Mike.
Yeah, great to have this conversation and to listen to you. The first time that I met you, I remember telling you that I loved Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. I'd seen it 25 years ago. And to still see you making movies is great. What I'm wondering is, what do you see as the best way to make that transition for Bollywood to get to the US? Because it's never really made it big in the US. And what could be the crossover appeal? I love it. I've seen it. But what I would love to see is how to make the cultural connection that I'm not sure has necessarily been there before.
So the thing is, when it's happened organically, it's worked out really well. Like, it happened with Lagan. In 2001, I don't think when Ashutosh and Amir were making that film, they ever thought that they were making an Oscar-nominated film. Similarly, with RRR, I think the fact that streaming services are taking our films globally, so the fact that RRR was a Netflix property and someone saw it. And I remember it just became a thing. Someone saw it from the member of the media in North America, and then it just became a thing. One thing led to the other, and everyone started talking about this massive Indian film, this film made in Telugu cinema that must be watched. It's high on adrenaline, and it's really a great watch. So we all can aspire for a global recognition, but I feel like as filmmakers, if we work towards that, we might be kind of faltering with our domestic audience. So I think we just hope and pray every time that we have a Lagan moment or an RRR moment, and we have a breakthrough crossover moment. But I don't know how particularly one can design it. That's the only thing that, because I know in the West, a lot of people think like Slumdog Millionaire is a Bollywood film. It's not. It's made by a studio, it's made by thinking minds of the West, or anything that Meera Nair, Deepa Mehta, Gurinder Chadda, they're all international filmmakers. They're based out of there. So any of us may not understand the syntax that can actually take our cinema global. But if it does happen, it can be a wonderful, wonderful thing, because who doesn't want global eyes on our film? And we all aspire to reach the Academy Awards. I have my speech ready, and I don't know when in life I can make it.
Sarah, go ahead.
Hello. I'm a little nervous, so I've penned my question down. Cinema, being a part of media, is an essential tool of information and can help creating awareness about issues that plague our society.
Oh, you had to write that down. I'm stressed answering this question.
And the environment, climate change basically. So today actors and filmmakers are idolized by people, and you being the youth icon, have you raised issues and concerns about environment? If yes, what is your message? What advice would you like to give your fans and people regarding the environment and climate change?
Yeah, got you. I got
I can give you a clever answer or I can give you an honest one. So I'll just give you an honest one.
Yeah.
I haven't yet done anything that addresses climate change, and nor is anything on the radar. I do believe that it is something that plagues us and we have to be very mindful of it. I understand that. For me, interrelationships, emotional, addressing emotions, for me it was very important to address patriarchy, to address entitlement, to address my sense of empowerment where it comes to feminism, to use a Bengali girl as an agent for change. All that to me was very important because it was communication done through the mainstream. And eventually I hope that something that we create can also be aspirational or rather motivational towards climate change. But I want to be honest, we haven't addressed it and I'm really sorry. And I'm really, I'm very glad that you wrote that question down because it meant that it mattered to you. So thank you.
Karan, यही बचा था आपका मूवी का one last social message needed was climate change in that movie. You had every other social message.
I mean, like we try, you know. Now suddenly she's put this in my head, and I'm like going to go back and like, how do I make a movie that can address this? But it's great because the seed of thought is there.
You know, I would just like to actually just when you're talking about your, you know, what you're going to do about, I think Hollywood can totally learn storytelling from Bollywood. You know, they can because there's superheroes, iterations after iterations. In 25 years, they've just stopped making films. I think they can just learn.
I love the way you just pointed at poor Mike.
Yeah, I mean,
I think Hollywood.
Talking about emotions. You're talking about emotions.
Yeah.
This is
I mean, like we're like the thing is that when someone says like, you know, what I feel like Indian cinema, and we don't get enough credit for it, is that we're the most individualistic of all cinemas. We have an interval. We break our narrative. Not like theatre. It's so difficult to make a successful Indian film because you actually stop your narrative. You eat your popcorn, you chat with each other, you block the narrative, and then you start it again. So you have to go back to the film and take it again onto the high that you left it at. That's why I feel like it is so much more challenging. You know, we've all read the 3-act structure, Sid Field's written enough. There have been so many people who've given speeches on screenplay structure. None of it is applicable to Indian cinema because we actually legit stop our narrative. So I feel like even our drama, rather melodrama, everything is a lot on the sleeve. You know, when I remember, I don't know if you may not, you've seen Kabhi, Khushi, Kabhi Gham. It was my second feature film, and we showed it at Cannes at the market screening, you know, and it was not in official selection, it was a market screening. And we had the interval, and everyone thought it was the end of the film. So there was a whole barrage of Germans and Italians and French people who said this is such a dark film, and it's left at such a dark note. And I was standing at the door, and I was like, no, ma'am, you can't go anywhere. Like it was my second film. I was like, there's another hour and a half to go. And she was like, there's another hour and a half. I said, yes. I said, now the brother comes and brings the whole family together and there's all that has happened. It's not a dark film, I promise you. And they sat, and at the end of the screening, I remember there was this same couple that walked towards me. They were from Germany. And he said that, I think in my entire life, I haven't cried as much as I've cried in these 3 hours. So he's like, are you a sadist, or is this what you really wanted us to feel? So I was like, it was just tapping into your roots for your parents. So I think that we do walk around as Indians and Asians with our emotions on our sleeve, and some of us just are more dramatic than others about expressing it. And I think we should be proud that we are expressive about our emotions.
Mr. Bindra, I think had a follow-up point, so then we get to Mr. Jain after that.
Karan, I have a request and a question. The request is, please never again make us wait 7 years before you direct your next one.
Oh, thank you, Jaspal.
And the question, since there was so much discussed about the industry, I thought I'll ask you something more personal. You've been iconic in your field of work as a producer, as a director, celebrity host, brand ambassador, etc., etc. If you had the opportunity to be equally iconic in another field, be it sports, be it politics, be it anything else, what would it be and why?
Oh dear. When I was young, there were 2 things that fascinated me. One was cinema, and the other was fashion in cinema. I was obsessed with what people wore in the movies. I would go to the Raddiwala next and buy the fashion magazines that were thrown away. Like, it was not even a thing in those days. And I would like cut out like what people wore. Even in Indian cinema, I remember seeing what, you know, what Sadhna wore and Vaijayanti Mala wore in movies, and then right up to all Yash Chopra's glamorous, glorious movies. So I thought when I was assisting on Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge that my calling is to be a costume designer or a fashion designer. And that's the first thing I actually did when I was made in charge of, the first thing I told Shah Rukh when he was in Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge, I was like, you shouldn't wear jeans that are like this. You should wear Levi's jeans that are more fitted. And he thought I was talking all kinds of strange things because he'd never heard anybody talk so much about clothes. And then I was like, oh, you should show your Adam's apple because, you know, it looks really, I know my girlfriends in college find you very sexy. And he was like, I think this boy's gone mad. Like, why is he saying all these things? But it was just like my obsession with fashion. And then I designed all his clothes in that film and subsequently for many films. So that's where I thought that my life would take me. So when you ask me this question, and I think fashion today is such an important form of expression and such a large industry that if I were to be iconic, I would have said fashion if it wasn't film. I'm glad that I am film because I can then incorporate my obsession for fashion within my film.
Last question. We have a rapid fire after that.
Question of the evening. And before Anand gets into his rapid fire, and this is exactly the same question I asked Alia Bhatt at the Adda he had for her. Could you name your best 5 Indian actors through the ages, Indian and Bollywood? Who actors, actresses? Who would you put in the top 5?
Balraj Sahni, Dilip Kumar, Kamal Hassan, Sri Devi, Shah Rukh Khan.
You thought about this before, or was it like you just
the people I love?
Okay. So, Karan, rapid fire. You know the format. You invented it. So you have to be as candid as you want your guests to be. What do you hate being called more, Kejo or Nepo?
Kejo.
Okay.
It's just annoying. I mean, like people call it like loudly at airports. They start screaming Kejo, Kejo. I'm like, what? I mean, it's okay.
Okay.
Nepo, I'm not alone. There are lots of others.
In a short few words, what went wrong with the following movies? Adi Purush? I'll say all the names. In short few words, what went wrong with the following movies?
Kanika, can you help? Like, why is he doing this to me?
Adi Purush, Kisi Ka Bhai Kisi Ki Jaan, Prithviraj Chauhan, Lal Singh Chadda.
I have seen, barring Lal Singh Chadda, I haven't seen the other films.
So what went wrong with Lal Singh Chadda?
Well, I actually like Lal Singh Chadda, so I don't know why it went wrong, because I enjoyed it. In fact, I remember crying right to the end, but I told you I'm a crier.
Which super hit of yours do you think would flop today?
Which super hit of mine would flop today? The thing is, I think
if they release today.
I think no, there would be bigger hits today.
Okay, short game called Get Real, Karan. We're going to take you away from your Karan Johar world and bring you closer to the newsroom and journalism and real life. So, in the next season of Coffee with Karan, if you have to have one non-filmy guest, who will it be?
As in, I would love to interview Dhoni.
So, not Hardik Pandya.
He's been on the show.
We know.
Yes. I'm just keeping a straight face through this all. Everything is recorded.
If you were making a biopic, Karan, who would you cast for the following people? Indira Nooyi.
Indira Nooyi would be Priyanka Chopra.
Neeta Ambani.
Aishwarya Rai.
Sukesh Chandrasekhar.
Anybody who's versatile and can play any part, Pankaj Tripathi.
Narendra Modi.
Mr. Bachchan.
Rahul Gandhi.
Ranbir Kapoor.
Virat Kohli.
Vicky Kaushal.
If you were forced to make a movie on one of the following real-life events that the Indian Express has played a significant role or actually uncovered the story, which will you pick? Panama Papers, Bofors, or Emergency?
The Emergency is already being made right now. I'm excited to watch it.
Okay. The one feedback that hurt you the most from your audience research screenings?
करण जोहर को प्रोड्यूसर होना चाहिए, डायरेक्ट नहीं करना चाहिए. Was one extreme feedback that came, and I was like, okay.
The one brand or product that you endorse which you actually use?
Great question. Lenskart.
Okay. The one perk of working in Dharma that no other production house provides?
Open door policy. Walk into anyone's room at any point of time, no emails required.
Rank in order of truth. Box office numbers are fudged in Bollywood. Statement number 1. Statement number 2, most stars are cast on the basis of talent. And statement number 3, celebs always tweet reviews truthfully.
The first one, I don't know how to rank them, but I'll tell you the first one, yes, numbers are fudged, true. 2?
Most stars are cast on the basis of talent.
No. Box office, popularity doesn't always equal talent. I mean, I'm sure there are more talented filmmakers than me. and they don't get the chance to make movies. There are a gazillion more talented people and filmmakers than me. I'm quite sure of that. So I won't even speak for stars, I speak for myself. So I think I'm privileged and I'm grateful for that.
Fair.
Third.
Celebs always tweet reviews.
No, we are all liars. We are all big, fat liars.
Okay.
We read screenings, we post, and if you can really read between the lines, we're lying.
Okay.
When people write really long posts, they really like the film. When the thumbs up and the emojis come up, like words they're short of words, so they've taken the refuge of emojis. Emojis are a great, great invention for humanity. They say so many things, whether it's from lies to flirting, it just comes in hand.
Okay. Varun, Ranveer, Vicky, Siddharth, Ayushmann. Who's the next superstar?
Means?
Who of these is the next big superstar?
Are you crazy, Anand? I want to work with all of them. I'm not making this list and getting myself into any trouble. I want all of them. They're all working for me and with me, and they all have movies coming up. I'm not answering this question.
Okay, a filmmaker whose set you'd like to work on?
Sanjay Leela Bhansali.
Did everybody enjoy the rapid fire? Do you think I managed to get much out of him, or was he ducking?
I think I managed some and I ducked some.
Okay, I think that this wasn't the way that a rapid fire should go. So, and Ananya looks the most unimpressed with this rapid fire. Completely.
Well, she came quite dressed to be unimpressed.
You want to give it a shot? Come on, give it a shot.
Oh my God. Oh, that's why you have arrived.
Karan, this is your surprise for the evening.
It's me.
She's always a pleasure, never a surprise.
Oh, okay. Hello, I didn't expect so many
And while
people
y'all are here, you must watch her film Dream Girl 2 on the 25th of August.
Thank you so much,
I think that
Karan.
plug-in was important.
It
and it's tracking to be a double-figure opening, so all the best.
Fingers crossed. Okay, I'm very nervous. I didn't expect there to be so many people. But
And they're
Karan,
all clever. So
they're very clever. I looked around and I was like,
be careful.
No, but you have this magical quality of making it feel like we're always just both of us in a room. So I'm very scared. I feel like it's going to be a reverse rapid fire and you're going to manage to get me into trouble. But I'll start easy. Okay. If you woke up one morning as me, what would you do? What's the first thing you would do?
I would have left 2 films I did.
Thanks, Karan. Okay. Date, marry, kill among these characters. Rahul from Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, Rocky from Rocky Aur Rani, and Ayan from Ae Dil Hai Mushkil.
Date, marry, kill?
Yeah.
You would marry Rocky. I would date Rahul, marry Rocky, and poor Ayan. I mean, he was just like such a, with his katora wanting love from everywhere, he'd have to die, unfortunately.
Killing him?
Yeah,
Okay. So, you gave an interview saying that you're done being a fashionista. So, if you could give anyone from the industry this mantle, who would it be?
Fashionista? Oh my God.
No one's worthy.
No, they are. I think, oh God, I'm trying to think. I know.
You're really rapid and full of fire. You keep firing
I know,
us.
but the thing is that I'm trying very hard to find the right person. No.
It's not.
Okay, so let's just say perhaps Ranveer Singh, because I think he has a strong sense of expression. And I think Anushka Sharma, I think she's lovely.
Yes. the most boring Coffee with Karan episode, and you can't say any of mine because you're only taking shots at me.
Oh dear. It was, no, I can't say.
No, you have to say Karan.
So, it was Richard Gere, I swear. I'm not saying it for any reason. Like, it was really, at one point I thought I was going to pass out. Like, you know, like literally while it was in our first season, and it got very intense. And he was the first Hollywood celebrity that we had. And I hope I never meet him and he never sees this. But like, it was deathly boring.
Yes, I have seen that episode because I've seen all 100 times. If you were to make Rocky or Rani again, 35 years from today, who would you cast to play Dharamji's role and who would you cast to play Shabanaji's role?
Shah Rukh and Kajal.
Okay, so because I'm promoting Dream Girl 2 now, who's the last girl you dreamed of and why?
I dreamt of Rani Mukherjee, I mean, right after the Melbourne Film Festival. And I think she spoke to me so much about like us and, you know, the past. We had a nostalgic chat. Suddenly I was imagining her and me having coffee on some mountaintop discussing something. And I was in a yellow sweater and she was in a sari and I have no idea why.
Okay,
Yeah.
nice.
So she was like, that girl was in my dream.
Tina, yes. No?
Oh, acha,
Yes,
I thought you just said a
making
name
a
and I had to say
reference.
something.
Okay. One filmmaker you wish to be a part of the Dharma roster.
Well, I mean, I think I would love, but I don't want them in the Dharma roster, but I'd love to kind of produce a film that was directed by Sanjay Leela Bhansali.
Okay. If you got access to the phone of the following celebrities, who would you send a message to and what would you say? Alia Bhatt.
When you coming back? Because she's gone for a long time and we have work to do.
So, no, you have to message as her, you have to message someone else as her.
As Alia Bhatt?
Yeah.
To who but?
You have to decide. You can message anyone as Alia.
If I was Alia Bhatt,
and you had access to the phone and you could message anyone.
I would message Ananya Pandey and
Okay.
ask her how her love life is going.
She will get an answer.
Yeah.
You guys won't. Akshay Kumar.
I would, if I was Akshay Kumar, I would message the producers of OMG to tell me how much money we made today because we're making so much money.
Okay. Sunny Deol, and you can't say the same answer.
No, if I was Sunny Deol, I would send a message to the whole industry and say, this is how it's done.
Yeah. Okay. Katrina Kaif.
I would message Vicky and say, come back home.
Jaya Ji.
I would message Karan Johar and say, you need a spanking.
Okay, the last one. Salman Khan.
I would message Salman Khan. I would message Shah Rukh Khan and say, like, it's just us.
Okay. What would be more embarrassing for you? You're at a public event and no one asks you for a selfie, or you get mobbed because people think you're another celebrity?
Ouch. Okay. The no one asking for the selfie is way better because I'll just pretend that, you know, I'm wearing something that they haven't recognized. I'm like, I'll rational that out in my head. But them thinking me as somebody else, that's a low blow.
Can't. It's never happened to you.
It has.
As who?
Many times.
Who did they think you were?
The earlier ones, once they came and asked me, are you Rajkumar Santoshi? And on the Egypt airport when I was shooting and what was even more embarrassing was actually once when I was walking very fast to my hotel to catch a flight back, and there was a couple I could see in my vicinity, like looking at me very excitedly, and I was rushing, so I knew that, oh my God, they want a photograph, and I walked towards them and I said, yes sir, very quickly, and they very quickly gave me the camera and posed. They were just looking for like an Indian face that would take their photograph. So I was so flummoxed because I took the camera and I was like, okay. And I took the photograph and they had no idea who I was.
Oh no.
That's what you call the death of self-importance.
Oh no. Okay. I'm scared to ask this question.
Ask.
Your last real life matchmaking in the film industry that worked out and the one that didn't work out, that you tried very hard.
So I got a call from Vidya very sweetly because Vidya and Sid was a very big successful matchmaking story that happened. And I'm glad that we talk about it, she acknowledges. There are many others which I won't mention that happened after that. I think you know the one that didn't work out.
Okay. Next question. If you were to make K3G again, who would you cast amongst the new crop of actors? I just want to say that I know all of Poo's lines.
Okay, so you definitely take the Poo, because I know you've got those lines bang on.
I dressed up as her for my 24th birthday.
The thing with K3G is I think that all the actors are so amazing and relevant that, I mean, they can still play their parts.
No one
but
can
I'll
do like
still,
them.
I mean, with Karina's permission, I'll offer you Poo.
Yes, please. And we have to say Rahul and Anjali also.
Rahul and Anjali would be... Rahul and Anjali would be...
This was K3G. I mixed it up with Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. No, but Rahul and Anjali.
Rahul and Anjali remain. They would, I think keeping Rocky and Rani in mind, we should just go with Ranveer and Alia, I think.
Okay. The last time you messaged or DM'd someone and they didn't reply to you?
Oh, this morning it was sad.
Who? No, you have to say.
No.
Doesn't he have to say?
No.
We've like cried on coffee with Karan
I sent a
losing
wink,
hampers.
nothing came back.
But you only said emojis are not enough.
Yeah, but my wink meant something. It was corresponding to an image.
Oh, okay, we'll stop there. What's the meanest thing someone has said about your work?
Oh my God. It's like someone said, see my talent, see his films. And I was like, okay, all right.
We can have a sweet one, but what's the funniest things your kids have said to you?
I just said that my daughter thought I was looking like Peppa Pig at some point. But the sweetest thing they always say is that their line to say I love you is I love you to the moon and back.
Aww.
And they say that every time they say I love you.
Okay, so I don't know. Okay, so I want to be sweet to you. I don't want you to get in because it's like 25 years of Karan Johar and I'm going to be very nice. So what's the most underrated Indian film you saw? I'm not going to ask overrated, I'm going to say underrated.
There are a gazillion of them. Ijazat, Gulzar Saab's Ijazat. I feel it deserves so much more love than it has. It got it through the years. Ghar. Both very underrated, brilliant films.
And the most underrated actor and actress you feel?
Tanuja, I think, was an absolutely outstanding artist. I think she was rated beautifully, but I feel like there was so much more that, that was... I always feel like she was one of my all-time favorites. Yeah, I would just say that.
And last two questions. One Gen Z habit in which you can beat any 18-year-old?
Being trigger happy. I mean, I think I can match an 18-year-old by what I do with my phone.
And one of your films that you're embarrassed about and why? Your films.
I'm not embarrassed, but I'm shy when, my mother was watching Love Stories. For various reasons and people who've seen it.
Yes.
It's a bit embarrassing to watch with your mom in the room.
And if you could change any film of yours, the climax of that film, which film would it be?
Kabhi Alvida.
To what?
To that they don't end up happily. And maybe some things down the road change. I would have changed a few things in that film.
Okay, and one last personal question. Everyone says a lot of things about you. I want to know what's one thing you want to tell people that they don't know about you, that people should know. I have many things to say about you.
I mean, how can you say things for yourself? But possibly that, that there's a lot more of honesty than probably I project. And don't look at the exterior, there's a beating interior that you should look at.
A very strong one, and I can vouch for that. But I don't know if I'm even allowed to make a speech. I kind of want to make a speech. Okay, please don't play some music.
Anant had passed out a while ago, so say what you want.
Anant, he tried to, Anant tried to end both of, your career cannot end, but he really was trying to end my career because the first few questions that he sent me, I can never ask those questions. They were terrifying.
Go ahead. I would have answered the way I wanted to.
Karan told
you
us
would have, but then I would have said something and gotten into trouble as usual.
At the last Adda, Karan Johar told us, Shubhra and I, that he's never afraid of any question because he controls the answer.
He really does.
I do. And I control because it's in I know there are cameras around me and I'm not getting myself into trouble over a happy interaction here on stage. Lord knows I've done that and behaved like the cameras are off and got myself into loads of trouble. Now I think I'm once bitten, many times shy.
Yes, but I want to say that I was just talking to someone from the Indian Express team with Amreen, and she was like, your parents have done such a good job, raising you, and you're doing so well. And I was like, I owe a lot of that to Karan because I am what I am today because of you. I grew up wanting to be a Karan Johar heroine. Like, I know all of your movies by heart, and you know that. And my biggest dream was to have the Dharma title song play before my films, and I was lucky enough to have that in my first film, and that is the only point I've ever cried. I mean, for other reasons in other films of mine, but watching my first film, that was when I cried. And you are just the most selfless person I've ever come across, the most honest. You are a shoulder to lean on for so many people. I don't even think you have an idea of how many people you've helped. And I just want to thank you, and we all love you. And there is no one like you, Karan. And as Jaspal uncle said, you have to make more movies. All the love that you got for Rocky Rani, you deserve that.
Stop,
and
stop,
so
stop,
much
stop.
more. And I love you, Karan.
Stop.
I love you. I have to thank Anand for calling me back, and thank you for being such a gracious audience. And you all were also committed till the end, even though Anand wasn't.
No, I was.
What do you mean, Anand?
But like,
I was
I'm
fully-
really happy. Thank you, Shubhra. Thank you for always being so wonderful. And thank you, everyone. I hope you invite me again.
And thank you, Ananya, for doing
Thank
this.
you,
I
Ananya.
mean, it's just the
I mean, what a
humility
glorious
for her to make
surprise
come
this
here
was.
and
I was so excited.
massive
I thought you
surprise
just came.
appearance.
I didn't know you had some tricks
Casually
up your.
sitting in this dress. in the
Yeah,
audience.
I just came like that, looking all fab.
She's come all the way from Film City and she made it just in time. And I was so nervous you were going to make it in time. This is awesome.
You looked it. You looked very stressed.
Very
Thank you.
nervous.
Thanks, Karan. Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you both. Just hang on stage.
Also, there is something we get.
Yeah.
Do I get something?
No, I don't think so.
For the fabulous
You were two last minute addition.
Just see this.
Okay, let me just invite our chief editor, Raj Kamal Jha, to just give a quick thank you to Karan.
I would like to invite Dr. Rashmi Saluja, Executive Chairperson, Religare Enterprises Limited, to present Karan with a bouquet. As we conclude, I would like to thank our partners, presenting partner Religare Enterprises Limited, co-presenting partner FRR Immigration, Radico, experienced partner Club Jolies. Please stay back and join us for cocktails at the Big Top. Thank you.